Hey, how's it going, Ginger? So here is your Starfall Saber staff. Just want to give the camera a quick look at this for anybody that's watching. But beautiful, beautiful work. The powder coating was done by Red Fox Drummer, and Nick did the rest. And those two guys combined, I mean, they make something so unique and so amazing. I've never seen a lightsaber this color. It's like a light metallic blue kind of with these gold accents. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful color. And you have a crystal chamber right here that has a panel on it that you can take off and you can expose. And I'm gonna break this down for you, okay? So this was sent to me for an electronics installation. I'm the one that puts, the sounds and the lights in here and all that stuff to actually make it, make sound, come alive and stuff like that, okay? But just beautiful work. It was a real pleasure working on this one because it's so unique. And just the color is amazing. When you see it in person, I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's beautiful. So it does have two ends. It is a staff. So on each end you have these blade plugs, okay? You always want to keep these on when you're not, actually using it with a blade because, it helps keep the dust out and all that. But it also looks cool because, it's just better than just having this hole there. You can fill it with this blade plug like that, and it just looks really, really good for, just display and all that stuff. And these plugs, they come out with this tool, which you're going to get in the box, and they are for both sides. You'll see the very top black screw on both sides are the ones for your blade, okay? And you're also going to see this silver screw here. This one you do not touch. This one is for the actual retention of the electronics, okay? So you don't need to touch this one ever. It's been, Loctited down, so it should be pretty hard to take off. Plus this tool doesn't even fit in there, so you're not gonna have that problem. But on this side, and only one side, does it come apart so you can access your battery, okay? So this very bottom black screw that you see right here is the one that you just lightly back out. You don't have to take it out all the way, just loosen it. And you're gonna grab it and you're gonna pull it right off. It's a very tight fit, but over time when you use it and you take it in and out, it'll get a little easier to take off. So no need to worry about that. And here you have your battery compartment. You have the connector. This is what actually connects to the blade. And your sound board. This is the Profi board. This is what gives it sounds and lights and all that stuff. It's already been programmed to your color that you wanted, which was like a light blue. And there's an SD card right there that has all the sounds and is what makes all the noises, okay? So you're gonna wanna grab your battery, which is gonna come with this in the box. And I decided to keep this one black because I wanted you to be able to see what battery that we use for these lightsabers, okay? If you want more batteries just to have, you're gonna wanna get this exact same model, okay? Try not to use any other ones that are similar in size because you do have two sides, two blades, so you need something very powerful. And these batteries are the ones that are recommended. So you can just Google these and you can buy them. They're pretty cheap, they're like 10 bucks. So I like to put the battery in with the label face down, that way it's just all black. But you do want to pay attention. This flat side right here it goes on the spring, okay? And this button right here goes towards the top. You never want to put it on backwards because then bad things are going to happen and then it's going to need repairs, okay? So don't put this on backwards. It's a very common thing that some people can do if they don't, look at what they're doing when they're putting the battery in. So just make sure that this flat side is always towards the spring. So you want to just push it down like this and it clicks into place, okay? And as soon as you put the battery on, you get sounds. That means that that you did it correctly, and the board lights up with a little green blinking light just to show you that it's ready. And if you want to take the battery out for like long-term storage, which I do recommend, I don't recommend leaving the batteries in if you're going to display this for a very long time. You can just use your finger to take it out, but I have really big fingers, so it's very hard for me to take it out. As you can see, I'm struggling. So what I like to do is use the same tool that you use to take this off, just to kind of put it right here in between, and it makes it way easier to take the battery out, okay? See, comes right out. So if you don't have big fingers like me, you can probably do it with the tips of your fingers, but I can't, so I need to use a tool, okay? So there it is. After you just literally just put the battery in. You don't have to do anything else. You want to grab your grip, and I believe originally the sketch had the emitters, you know, flipped. Okay, one is down and one is up, but you can do them both ways. It doesn't matter. You can put them, you know, opposite of each other, or you can put them the same way. But I'm gonna do it the way it came to me, which was opposite of each other, like this, right? And then once you get to about right there, it's gonna stop, but you need to go a little further, so push it a little bit more. You hear a little click, and that means that it's been put all the way down, okay? And you can also spin it to make sure you have it on straight, you know, because sometimes you can put it on crooked. So, you know, you want to just line it up like this, about right there. That's straight. And then you always remember to tighten this one back up, okay, the bottom one. You don't want to swing this around with this loose, okay, because then this whole thing will come flying out if you're like doing hard swings and stuff, okay. So make sure to always tighten that when you're going to be using it, and just make it a habit to tighten it, okay. Just I wouldn't want this coming off on you and flying out, okay. So here you have your actual button, and you'll see a little black mark right there. I just marked that with a Sharpie because I wanted you to be able to tell the difference between the power button, which is the top one, and then the very, very bottom on this half end right here, this is the effects button. So this mark comes off very easily. You can just wipe it off with your finger. If you just wipe a little hard on it, it'll come right off, okay? This is just to train you so that you know which button does what. So this very top button is power, this bottom button is effects. And then once you get used to it and, you know, you become a pro, you're not going to need that anymore, and, you know, you'll know which is what. But the reason I did that too was because it depends on how you hold it, right? If you hold it like this, that top one is power, right? But if you hold it this way, then now the bottom one is power. So it can get confusing sometimes in your hands. So doing that just helps just for now. So when you throw the battery in there, the crystal chamber lights up, and it's just pulsing and doing effects at the moment. And if you want to get a really good look at it, you can just take this middle screw off, which is the same wrench, okay, that is used to get to everything. It's just one wrench. You can very carefully take the panel off, and then you have full access to the crystal chamber. You can see it, all the copper pieces, the metal pieces in there. You know, Nick does an amazing job here because he uses premium materials, but also real quartz crystals, okay? This is not a plastic crystal, this is a real crystal. So, you know, when we add lights to it, it looks very authentic. It's got like, you know, a little bit of cloudiness, and, you know, it's not perfect, so it looks super authentic. So he does an amazing job, and I put the lights here in the background and stuff like that, okay? And then when you want to put this cover on, it only goes on one way. So this is the way it came out, and you see that the hole lines up. If you try putting it the other way, it does not line up, okay? You see that? The hole kind of like is just off to one side. So you want to make sure that you have it the right way, and then be very careful to put this on because you don't want to scratch your paint. And then, you know, Red Fox Drummer did an amazing job here too. The screw is also the same color as the entire Saber, okay? So you don't want to lose that because it's very specific to your entire staff here. Same color as everything. But once you have it on, you're good to go. So now to do the fun part, which is, you know, making it, you know, power up, you're gonna have your top button here is your power, and your bottom is your effects. So if you push the top button, and you can twist to turn off, or you can twist to turn on as well. So you do have gesture controls, and I really like that because that makes it so that you don't have to find the power button every time you want to turn this on. You can just twist it very quickly left to right, and then again to turn it off, okay? And then when you have it on, here's where your effects button comes into play. You push it, and you get, you know, blaster blocks and all the effects like that. So if we look at this side, when you turn it on, the crystal starts to do different things. You know, maybe it pulses a little faster. It has like a cool down effect. then it goes back to the light blue color that you wanted with the blade as well. So from there we can put a blade because all the other effects are with a blade. So let's do that. I'm only gonna do one side because I don't have the room for, you know, just having 2 long blades on each side. I just don't have the room to do that, especially now with the staff because they're so long. So we're gonna just take that off and then we're gonna put it on, right? This is my very short test blade just for demo purposes. And then you want to tighten the very top screw, okay? This is the one that holds your blades in place, and then now they don't come out at all. So like I said, you can twist to turn on or you can push the button. I like to do twist. And then when we press the effects, hopefully you can see that on camera, but you get like effects on the blades to simulate like blasters being blocked by the, you know, by the lightsaber. And that happens on both sides when you have both blades on. So that's, you know, one thing that you can do. Another thing, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. That's why you're gonna get this paper in the box that shows you a lot of the things that you can do. You can even change the colors. Say you wanna go from, you know, something other than light blue maybe in the future. That very bottom one right there that says color change will show you how to do that. And I'm going to go over that as well either way, but I just wanted to show you. So the very first thing on this list is just turning it on, which you can do with the power button or twisting. All right. Second thing that we can do with the blade off is you can ignite it muted. So if you hit the power button twice, it'll turn on the blade, but very silently, so there's no sound. If you want the sound back, you have to turn it off, which is you could just twist it like this, and then twist it again, and then the sound comes back, okay? And then if you want to change the sound font, so right now we're on the very first sound fonts, and there's 12 on here, okay? So when you purchase a lightsaber from Nick, it comes with 12 sound fonts. So a sound font is basically like different lightsaber sounds. So this very first one is just called Starfall. Celestial is the second one. And to switch, you want to hit the effects button when the saber is off. So every time you hit this button, this very bottom one, it switches between sound fonts.
Hero's Journey.
So we're going to stay on that one, which is Hero's Journey. And then if you want to hit the power button or twist, you can do that. And now you have a slightly different sound. And then you can switch to another one. I like this one. Ruin is very like, you know, deep, and the effects on the blade are kind of like very unstable. So we're going to do that one right now. So you see how you have all these pulsing waves. And then when you turn it off, it has a different retraction. This is why I really like Ruin. Ruin is one of my favorite sound fonts from Nick's sound font package. So you do have 12. I'm not going to go through all 12. But just letting you know, if you want to switch in between them,
Reconcile.
you can just click this button one time really fast. All right, so before I get too ahead of myself, let's go down the list, okay? Because I was going through all the sound fonts. So to play tracks, so you can also play music while you're using this, okay? You can just push this button and hold it for like about a second, the power button on top, and you'll start hearing music play. If you do it right. There you go. And then when you turn the lightsaber, rotate it, it switches for the, you know, through all the songs, okay? So it has a lot of songs in here. You find one that you like, just hit any of the buttons. You'll hear like a boop sound, and it'll stay on that. And you can ignite the blade. And you know, you can play with it. To turn it off, just hold it. So you can play music while having the blade ignited if you want to do that, okay? And then to, you know, to turn it off, you just hold it again for about a second or two and then let go, and then it turns off. All right, so that's how you play the tracks. Another thing is volume menu, okay? So volume menu could be a little bit hard for me to activate because the buttons are so close to each other. but it says right here you want to hold the power button and then hit the aux or the effects button, which is the bottom one. So hold the power button, hit the
Enter
aux,
volume menu.
and you'll hear that. And when you rotate the Saber, you'll hear all these boop sounds, and that's just showing you it's getting louder or quieter depending on where you want it.
Minimum volume.
And if you go all the way to the bottom, it's minimum volume. If you rotate all the way to the top,
Maximum volume.
it's maximum volume, and you want to hit any of the buttons and it'll lock that one in, okay?
Exit volume menu.
So it'll exit and it stays at whichever one you left off on. For now I have it at max just for the video purposes. And if you want to check the battery level, it's the opposite. You want to hold the aux or the effects button, because we call it the aux button, but it's also called the effects button. And then you hit power, okay? You just click it once.
Battery level 46%.
And then you get your battery level, okay? So that just, you know, it just shows you where you're at battery wise, if you're gonna have enough juice or if you're gonna need to charge it. Okay, so, and then the very last thing here is gesture controls, which is I've already showed you, on and then off. And then for the second portion of this is gonna be standard controls when the blade is on. So all of these are gonna be your actual effects. So we turn the blade on, and then you can have blaster blocks like I showed you earlier. Right, you click this button right here. This is the effects button. Just click it as many times as you want, and you get blaster blocks. And then the next one is the clash effects, okay? So clash effects works in two different ways. If you ignite the Saber with a gesture like that, and you clash, it'll stay locked up. And then if you pull away, it'll release the lockup. So essentially what a lockup is, and I'm sure you've seen in the films and the movies and stuff, is when two lightsabers clash and they make like this noise, right? That's exactly what's going on with the lockup effect. But it locks up automatically when you turn it on with a gesture, okay? But if you turn it on using the button and then you clash, it just makes a clash sound. It doesn't lock up. So you have to hit it kind of hard for it to actually clash. Right? You hear the clash sounds. So if you want to do the lockup effect without, and you didn't ignite it with the gestures, you're going to want to, it says right here, hold the power button and then clash the Saber. So I'm going to do it with two hands just so it's easier for me. Right? So now I have my lockup, but I had to hold the power button and then clash the Saber to do it because I turned it on with the button instead of just twisting it and then hitting the flash. Right? So it's up to you however you want to do it. You know, personally, I like to just do the gestures because I just think it's cooler. You know, I don't care that it locks up all the time, but it's up to you. It's personal preference. Other things that I'm not going to be able to do here are like drag, right? But it tells you how to do that right there. Melt, lightning block, I can do that one. So lightning block is like, you know, when a Sith shoots lightning at you and you want to block it, you have to have the blade on. And you want to hold power and click aux. So hold power right here and click aux. And I hope that you can see that on the blade. It's like, you know, sputtering everywhere on here. And I'll do that on both ends, okay, when you have two blades on. So that's lightning block. And, you know, the next one, stop, start tracks. I mean, you can do that when the blade is on or off. It's up to you. And then the very last one is color change, okay? So this one is if you want to obviously change colors. If you don't want to run blue, maybe you want to run green or whatever. So to do that, it has to be on. The blade has to be on. So we're going to do that right now. You want to hold the aux button and then click the power button. Hold the aux button, click the power button. You hear that sound, and then again, just like the volume menu and the tracks menu, you can just rotate it.
Red, orange, red, dark orange, orange, gold, yellow, green, aquamarine.
Right, and then you can just find the color that you like.
Cyan, deep
right?
Sky blue, Dodger blue.
So say
Blue.
You don't want to change colors anymore. You're like, nah, I want to go back to my original one. Just hit this bottom one right here, which is the aux, and it'll go back to the original color.
Revert.
So you'll hear her say revert, and that just means it goes back. But say you do want to change colors, you know, you're bored and you want to just change it up. We're going to do it again. Hold aux, hit power.
Red.
Say you want to do red, right? And so to lock it in, you want to hit the power button instead of the aux. And now we're locked in for red. And then that'll also change the colors on the crystal, okay, to red. But say you want to go back to the, the original color, you're going to have to just find it on the wheel. So we're going to do it again. Hold aux, hit power. Oops, see? So I have big fingers. There we go.
Red. Orange red. Dark orange. Orange. Gold. Yellow. Green yellow. Green. Aquamarine. Cyan. Deep sky blue.
So deep sky blue is the one that's the colors for all your fonts. And then you hit the power button and it locks it in. And like I said, it doesn't matter which font you switch to. They're going to have different effects, but they're all going to be the light blue, okay? And anytime you want to switch colors, you can very easily just switch the colors on some fonts and then leave the other fonts as light blue if you want. Totally up to you, okay? So I know it's a very long process, but eventually you'll get it and it'll just become, muscle memory to you, and you'll be able to do it without even looking at the buttons. But for now, that's why I have this one marked, so you know which is power and which is aux, okay? But yeah, I mean, I believe I've covered everything. You can always go back to this video. I know it's a very long video, but I really wanted to break this down for you because, it's just, I know that you're new, so we need to, make sure that you know how to use this, and I hope that this helps, okay? So, yeah, so I'm gonna take the blade off, put it back together, and I'm gonna take the battery out now. Just gonna go through that process with you, just so you know, just trying to be repetitive here so that you can always come back to this video and just use it. So remember, the one with the silver is a no-go. You want to go look for the 2 black screws, the very bottom black one right here. You want to back that one out, and then I like to use the same tool to get the battery out because I have big fingers, and you're good, and it powers off, okay? If you do leave the battery on, right? And let's put this back on. I have it on the wrong way. So if you do leave it on for about I think it's like 3 to 5 minutes, something like that, eventually the crystal will turn off and it'll go into sleep mode. And that's okay for you to have if you want to just do short-term storage, like you just want to not play with it for maybe an hour or two. You want to just leave it alone, it'll turn off by itself, and to wake it back up, you just hit any of the buttons and it'll wake back up. But if you want to do long-term storage, I recommend taking the battery out, okay? So I just want to make that clear that you can also just leave the battery on short-term, okay? But long-term display purposes, you want to have the battery out, all right? So yeah, so thank you so much for your patience. I know this took a while, but I wanted to make sure I went through everything with you, show you your beautiful new custom lightsaber staff. And I will get this out to you as soon as possible, pack it up real nice and secure. And yeah, so in the box directly from me, because this is all I have here for you, is going to be this paper, the lightsaber, and your tool to, access it. And it's going to come with a battery, that way you can use it. All right. So thank you so much, and hope you enjoy.